A marathon hearing before a judge in Boise, Idaho, answering some key questions about what evidence jurors may see when Bryan Kohberger's murder trial begins in August. The hearing leaving some questions open, like who, if anyone, can testify to Kohberger's alibi.
Who's going to say he was out driving around looking at the stars?
While also raising some new questions, including Kohberger's attorneys suggesting they've identified another suspect.
We came across a tip that would appear to be an alternate suspect, and we're trying to work through that as rapidly as we can.
The father of victim Kaylee Gonzalez reacting to that theory overnight.
The new strategy is going to be, what if? What if it's this guy? What if it's a neighbor? What if it's that guy? So it's just more signs of desperation.
At times, the hearing turning fiery, with the judge appearing skeptical of some of the defense's hundreds of pages of requests.
You've made some serious accusations against the state of hiding evidence, and yet you've provided no factual basis, zero.
The judge has not decided yet whether to allow this selfie of Kohberger or a surviving roommate's testimony that she saw a man with bushy eyebrows leaving the home. Also still up in the air, whether prosecutors can show the jury Kohberger's alleged Amazon purchases, which include a K-bar knife and sheath like the sheath investigators say was found at the murder scene, although the judge did signal he may allow it.
There's not a ground for exclusion.
In late 2022, Kohberger was charged with the murders of 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee, along with Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. His lawyers say he has maintained his innocence. At the hearing, the attorneys also sparring over whether the jury should know about Kohberger's autism diagnosis. With Kohberger looking on, his attorneys saying it would be nearly impossible to put him on the stand without that context.
Bryan's physical body is more stoic, how he sits in one place. And he will look for a long time, and that means nothing. That's just how Bryan is.
Now, as of now, it appears unlikely that Kohberger is going to testify on his own behalf. We did learn, however, that the prosecution does plan to call some of his family members to the stand. The judge suggested that he will ask the state to have them testify first so that they can then be there in the courtroom to support Kohberger if they wish for the remaining weeks of the trial, guys.
All right, Liz, thank you. NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos joining us now. So what do you think about some of the decisions that were made and what's been tabled as well?
For the most part, I was not surprised, and that's because the defense has filed thousands of pages of motions, which on the one hand, as a defense attorney, you have to admire because they're zealously representing their client. But on the other hand, I mean, every motion you can imagine has been filed, including ones that have virtually no chance of succeeding. And yet I say that, and the judge is actually considering motions that I thought had zero chance whatsoever. For example, the defense wants to exclude reference to bushy eyebrows by the only real eyewitness to the crime. To me, that kind of evidence comes in every single time, whether or not the witness was drinking, intoxicated, whether or not she was, it was her second or third interview with police, that comes in. And yet the judge is considering whether or not to exclude that kind of evidence. So it really proves the old adage that you just, as a defense attorney, you try absolutely everything and you never know what will happen.
There's been a lot made, as you know, about his autism diagnosis and how that could factor into the trial. What, if anything, did we learn during yesterday's hearing about how that can or cannot be used at trial?
The autism issue, I now think, may become a central issue in this case for several reasons. Number one, the defense is trying to strike the death penalty based on his autism spectrum disorder. However, they've expanded that to other things. For example, they want the jury to be advised that he has this condition so that the jury will not presumably think that he's behaving oddly when he's not testifying, just sitting at the defense table. And everybody knows that the entire jury trial, the jury is watching the defendant at the table to see how he reacts. This is very interesting. And the prosecution correctly argues that if you do let the jury know, that might improperly make them more sympathetic to the defendant. So this could be a major issue that is developing.
A huge issue. It's a way of testifying without having to get on the stand and be cross-examined. So I'm sure the prosecution's going to fight that tooth and nail.
Exactly. They are going to fight that. And the defense it's a clever strategy. I just don't know if it comes in. But for the most part, the defense probably didn't expect to win all these motions. They expected to win a tiny fraction. And the fact that they have a fighting chance on even a handful of them is arguably a victory for the defense.
All right, Danny. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.